Back to another episode of the Impact of Business Coaching. I am your host, Scott Hill. We do this podcast for simply one reason. We love business coaches. We love the impact that they're making in the world, and we want to highlight it. We want to share it with people. We like to, root and cheerlead for business coaches because, I've been a product of coaching my whole life. When we started, so many of us had coaches in athletics or in other different hobbies we had or what have you. And then along the way, I decided to be my own business owner and I need a coach. And I think every business owner needs a coach. So without further ado, we have the pleasure of having Catherine Denisi, right?
Denisi, close.
Denisi,
You're so close.
Sorry, I didn't practice that. Denisi, and I knew that, but I let my nervousness, I think, get the best of me on that one.
Good.
So with the privilege of having Catherine with us today. She's a coach, and we're going to get into the types of business coaching that she does and how she helps clients. But welcome, Catherine, and thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Scott. I'm a fan of you since you're such a fan of business coaches. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great. So if you would, please give us a bit of background on you. How did you get here? And what is your background? We'd love to hear it.
Great. Thank you for that. So probably like a lot of your listeners, I started with a corporate background. I spent a number of years working in the technology industry, first at a Fortune 500 company where I spent actually a good chunk of my career climbing the corporate ladder. Very fortunate. I was treated well and had a ton of amazing opportunities there. And then I left that company and I ended up going to a series of technology startups, both starting in San Francisco, where I was at the time when I left the large company, and then in New York. I'm actually based in Brooklyn now. After the last startup I was at ran out of money, which was a sad situation, but it tends to happen.
Yeah.
The PR firm that we had been working with, she had a really small team and the industry was changing. Social media was just really getting going in terms of how it fit into the landscape of public relations. So she brought me on to help her reimagine her business from top to bottom. So everything from the language, the visual representation, the service offerings, how she was pricing things, what her team needed to look like. And that was almost 10 years ago now. And that was my first consulting client. So I grew from there and have spent the last 10 years working with female-owned businesses, some men as well, and usually really small teams, sometimes even solopreneurs. And that's how I started getting into coaching and working and consulting with these small business owners.
Why do you love coaching so much?
Oh, such a good question. So I think what I've found in my experience is people have so much more knowledge and understanding than they realize. And by asking the right questions and working with them, that knowledge and understanding starts coming out. And then you realize they have these aha moments and are able to realize where they want to go next, or that they have the answer inside them all along. And I really love those moments.
And you, I guess, must be really cool to see them like light bulb go off stuff. And
totally, it's the best. For me, it's the best. I really enjoy that a lot.
So how do you specifically approach business coaching? Do you work with specific industries? I know you mentioned you work with women entrepreneurs and business owners too, but give us a little bit of more specifics around that type of thing.
For sure. So in terms of my, I'm pretty agnostic in terms of vertical market. I've worked in the fashion industry, public relations, I mentioned, grant writing, resume writing. I will work with pretty much anybody across the board. And I've worked with people that have products as well as services. So how I had been working for a good chunk of the time I described was either project-based or retainer-based, based on what the goals are. And, it can be strategy and execution plans and marketing or operations. I can sort of bring all of those pieces together. And then last year, I tweaked how I've been operating a little bit to really focus more on the coaching aspect of it. and focusing primarily on women-owned businesses or people that have females that desire to have businesses. And I started a group coaching program last year with women that wanted to launch businesses. And now I've sort of shifted to a VIP day structure to try and get, a good chunk done in a day. And I've set up different offerings across those. So what I really like, where my sweet spot is one of two things. Either it's a business owner or even like solopreneur that's already operating and they know it's time to pivot or shift or create a new offering, and they need help determining what is that offering and then how to describe it, talk about it, design it, and get it out into the world. Or it's somebody who wants to launch that new business and hasn't done it yet and is stuck somewhere in the process. And then I take them through that, everything from brand messaging through to designing their offering, pricing, and creating a launch plan.
And are you, do you kind of cover the 5 pillars where you do some sales and marketing if necessary, operations, the finance, things like that, or what, like that type of thing?
Sure. No, I appreciate that question. So I start really at the beginning. I've developed a methodology that I call the questions, and I've been refining for the last 3 to 4 years. And now I've got it at this really great place that when somebody starts working with me, they answer these questions. And in doing so, I take them through a process where we really uncover what their offering is, who their target audience is, what is it they actually do in terms of the outcomes they're delivering, whether it's a product or a service. And so we really get the brand itself defined. And then we move into more of, okay, what is your offering? How are we going to price it, whether it's a product or a service? And then in addition, okay, what is the launch plan then to get there? And yes, I always leave people with, they should have I should say they should have a good idea as well in terms of what are the resources that they need. So is it, full-time team members? Is it, okay, what are they going to outsource? Are they going to start doing things themselves and then start outsourcing, marketing activities, for example? Because we do cover their position in the marketplace and how best to reach that customer that they can most help. So when we finish that, I leave everybody with a P&L, because I'm a big believer you need to understand how your business is running. Are you making money? Are you not making money? Wow. So it really is, taking people through all of those aspects so that they can have a successful business.
No 2 situations are alike, it sounds like.
None. No 2 situations are alike at all.
I like the analogy about, some coaches I talk to, use the analogy of being a doctor that, you got to do an examination. You can't prescribe anything. And I guess I know lots of business owners, just tell me what to do. But I guess it's a lot harder than that in most cases, right?
Well, I think sometimes people don't realize where they're stuck. Yeah. Right. They don't realize where they have competing priorities, which often then creates that condition of being unable to move forward. And they don't realize that it's not that easy in terms of what is your situation, right? I say to people, look, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. Right. Right, because I can't help you unless I understand. I mean, everything from what your mindset is to your financial situation, what's your risk tolerance, what are your priorities in terms of your business, and also how your business fits into your life, because that's extremely important as well, right? So, yes, what your question is a good question. Hopefully that answered.
So, considering all that, we love stories. Is there a specific client story that you have that kind of brings that all home, where you really had to go through your process and it identified things and there were solutions, all that? Do you have something like that you can share with us?
So yes, so the group course that I ran, and I ran a small cohort in January. I had some service-based businesses and also product-based businesses. And the one that comes to mind in particular, she wanted to launch a product-based business. And this had been on her mind for like a really long time. So she came actually referred via previous clients of mine. So she came in, she knew pretty much what she wanted to do. working through the questions that I described, she came up with beautiful language describing her target market and how she was going to help them. And we got through all of that, the brand messaging. We understood her positioning in the marketplace. She had a good sense of how she was going to start reaching them marketing wise. And we got to the offering piece, which is in her case was a product as opposed to some of the other participants that were service based. And, it was a very artisanal type of offering. And as such, and she had done a lot of homework already and knew what her costs were. And we were suggesting what the price point needed to be for it to be a profitable business. And she was really uncomfortable with that because it put her not really in a luxury, but a much higher price point than what she had wanted. So she went, and this was sort of my feedback and the group feedback as well. And she came back the next week. Each week there's homework and we get together and we were doing our Zoom call. And she decided she didn't want to pursue the business.
Wow.
And so, and not entirely, but not in that form. So for me, it was probably a little bit of like, oh, wasn't what I was expecting, but the result of it ended up being really good in that she took a step back, I took a step back, and we said, okay, what does your business look like then? And so she went off and she rethought about it. And we had another couple of sessions because the way we had worked together, she had more time with me. And she identified what she wanted that to look like. And then had the template to be able to go back and redo the messaging and all of that because that came as part of the course. And she was thrilled because she thought her business needed to look a certain way, based on, what it should look like. And what she realized in that is it doesn't need to be that way. It can be the way that it suits her. She can make money that way and it fits the lifestyle she wants to have. So for me, it was probably a little unnerving at one point in the process, but to be able to come out the other side and have her feel excited about a new way to move forward was awesome.
That's a fantastic story. That is awesome. And it sounds like in a loving environment where other people participating in the course were really able to provide valuable feedback as well.
Absolutely. That was one of the things that running the group for the first time was so exciting to me to see, was that no matter what business somebody was in, that they all contributed really enthusiastically and thoughtfully to each other's businesses, which is one of the main reasons I think to participate in any sort of group program as well.
Well, I told you, everybody who's watching, this is why we have people like Catherine on. This is the great stuff that happens in the trenches where coaches are helping real business owners figure it out. Catherine, that's an awesome story. For anybody who either sees this live or sees this in a recording version, you can obviously comment below. Catherine and I and our teams will monitor it and we'll try to ask questions. You can reach out to either of us directly. I can get you in touch with Catherine. Catherine, how else or what other ways can people get in touch with you?
For sure. So everything is my first name and last name. So okay. Catherine and Denise, which hopefully my name flashed up there at some point. That's my website, CatherineDenise.com. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Catherine Denise, ditto on LinkedIn. And I would say that on Instagram, I am hosting a weekly Instagram live series where it's called Candid Conversations to Level Up Your Business. And I'm bringing on different mostly female business owners that are in complementary fields, website, video, copywriting, finance, in order to help the audience that I have, which is largely female entrepreneurs, learn more and help them level up their businesses. So, and you can check that out on my Instagram.
That's awesome. Well, appreciate you being on. We look forward to having you on again. Thank you again for the work that you're doing. It's fantastic. And we will catch up soon.
Scott, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.